Welcome to Desert Winds Educational Videos. My name is Luke Denoir. Today we're going to be covering single sword basic. A flat blade in AmpGuard is a blade that is profiled to where it has a section of the sword that does not count as a legal hit. It's called flatting someone. The legal section of the sword that you can hit with is the actual bladed section. A lot of the single swords made have directional handles, so that once you put your hand on the handle, you know exactly where your blade is going to hit. When using a flat blade in AmpGuard, you have to rotate your wrist to make sure that the bladed portion of the AmpGuard weapon actually hits your target as not to flat them. If you rotate your wrist in a particular direction, you could cause the flat of the blade to hit your opponent. So, when throwing shots with a flat blade weapon, a lot of people like to keep their thumb up. This particular grip actually gives you a little bit more tip control to your weapon, a firm grip on the handle, and it also lets you know where your blade is. So as you rotate through a shot, you don't want to leave your hand open, flat your opponent. When you swing the weapon, your thumb will rotate outward, so when the blade hits your opponent, it's hitting on the legal portion of the AmpGuard weapon. And a very basic beginner sword is called an Omni Blade. This weapon, no matter how you hold your hand on the handle, whatever part of the weapon that you hit it with is the part that strikes the opponent that counts. When you're using an Omni Blade in AmpGuard, your wrist rotation counts a little bit less. It depends on the angle that you want to throw the shot at. So, just like a flat blade, when you swing down or when you swing to the side and you're doing a slash, the wrist rotation is not changing. When you begin to throw wraps in AmpGuard, when you swing the sword around like this, it really changes what your wrist is doing, but it doesn't matter which portion of the blade you hit your opponent with, which gives you sometimes more angles, but more tension on your wrist.
As you can see on this particular Pell dummy, there are chalked out lines designating different hit locations. There's a pattern numbered 1 through, I believe, 9 that represent different parts of the body. It's easier to associate different sections with different numbers. Here we've slowed things down a little bit so you can see exactly how to throw a shoulder slot. If you watch the joints, you'll see how the power starts at the body and moves down through the wrist. We've slowed things down here as well. Watch the rotation of the wrist as the shot is being placed. Also note the joints and how the body creates the initial power in the shot. Note the joint rotation in this shot. It's further than our prior shots. This particular shot is meant to land at hip or upper leg. While watching this particular shot, look at the hips, the knee movement, as well as where the shot is landing. Putting your weight into a shot using body mechanics, which you can find other videos on YouTube about, will make your shots more powerful. Notice the upper and lower joints in this shot, as well as the hand placement of the offhand. Stabs are a useful tool in AmpGuard. Notice how the wrist rotates over to make sure that if the shot misses, the stab will be pointed down away from the face. This shot is a little exaggerated to show the full movement of the body, putting power behind the shot. In this shot, we look at a proper fighting stance. Note the bent knees, the straight back, the offhand guarding the shoulder, and the sword directly in front of the arm. Balance and mobility are key to amp guard in winning fights. If you stand still, you die. This particular section shows different angles that you can take when fighting an opponent. The first three are straight on. Not usually a good idea unless you have something special planned for them. Taking an angle off to the right of the opponent, or off to the left of the opponent, usually gives you better openings and better position while fighting. These next few sections actually show how to throw a couple of different types of wraps. Note the joint movement as well as the hip and knee movement. When throwing a shot, you'd like to place as much power as possible into it without actually harming your opponent, but you want to make sure the shot sticks. Note the knee, hip, and shoulder movement in this shot. It's an awkward shot to throw, and without a step, you probably shouldn't throw it, but it does show exactly how much effort your body puts into a shot. In direct comparison with a flat blade shot, this omni blade shot actually requires less body movement to make the blade hit where you want. Because of the non-directional blade and the non-directional handle, you can pretty much hit the opponent with any part of the blade. This is a unique shot that I learned not too long ago. It's a shot thrown as a high cross, but if you notice the fist, it never crosses the center line as designated on the pel in the middle. Not the horizontal line, the vertical line. The shot lands on the opposite shoulder, initiating a very well-placed high cross.